Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are doing a full card breakdown with some bets. I do individual ones because they seem to do a little bit better on the view wise, but I think every single week closer to the fights I'm going to do a long video talking about what I think. Some of my predictions maybe have changed. Just in case they have, it's just going over it, having a little bit more time in it. Make sure you watch this. If you are new, subscribe, like, comment. I try to answer everybody's comments, talk to everybody, interact with everybody. Before we get started, I do have memberships as low as $4.99. You get a bunch of exclusive things, priorities, videos, votes just for you. If you go to the most expensive, which is $24.99, you get everything as the lower tiers do and more things just for you guys, for being members and all of those things. Again, if you want to join, it is on the YouTube channel. You can just hit join and it'll show you the tiers. Now let's get right into the breakdowns. So again, starting with the first fight, which is Kamaleea Kirk versus Esteban Ribovics. I think I say his name. Kamaleea Kirk's 11-5, like we talked about, 3-2, and Esteban is coming off of his first loss, which is against Loic Rezabov, who just lost to Matthias Rebek, something like that. And Kamaleea Kirk's actually a plus 165. I think he's a little bit more now on like FanDuel. I think it's a little bit, I think it's like 195. He's a pretty good underdog, and by decision, it's even better. I think he's like 250, plus 250. Yeah, and again, this might be all over the place, but we're going to be talking about it. We're going to be going over some predictions, what I think. I'm not going to go in full depth just because I have individual breakdowns, but we are for surely going to be talking about it. I don't know why I did that, but, and then, yeah, we got a lot to go over. Okay, so Kamaleea Kirk's a plus 124 on FanDuel, but if you go over to Method of Victory, Kamaleea Kirk by points is a plus 400, and I think that's how he wins. I think he wins a very close decision, maybe even a split. I don't see Ribovics winning by submission. I could see him winning by points or by finish, but even points on both sides at 420 for Ribovics, 400 for Kamaleea Kirk. I just think Kirk's cardio is a little bit better, and I think that's the deciding factor in this fight. He's very good with his kicks in that range, and he can grapple a little bit. Has had issues like when he fought Damon Jackson, he was out grappled, out hustled. When he fought Bruno Souza in the LFA, it was kind of the same thing. And again, his last three fights, how he won was punches, and the other one was a decision against Marwan Americani, who is good at what? Grappling. His jiu-jitsu is really good. He's no longer in the UFC, but still. And it has a huge reach advantage as Kirk, and he's typically pretty good at distance management. And I believe he knocked down Marwan Americani in that fight later in the rounds. So I really like Kamaleea Kirk by decision. And again, plus 400 is a very good bet, because if you put a little bit of a bet on there, if you put, say, $5, you can win 20 bucks. Now, again, it's not going to be crazy, but if you can make it add up, put some parlays in there, do like Kamaleea Kirk by points, put $5 in it, pick another fight like Shannon Ross versus Jesus Aguilar. Aguilar has 6 submissions. You go to Method of Victory, and Jesus Aguilar by submissions a plus 230. So you put those together, make it a 2 parlay, put $5, you can win $77.50. Very, very interesting ones. I know Shannon Ross has only lost by submission 1 time, but I think him getting beat up on the feet, which he has lost 3 times by TKO or KO in his career, I do think he will get hurt by Aguilar, and I think Aguilar will submit him. And I think it's a very, very good 2-leg parlay. Kamaleea Kirk by points plus 400, and then Jesus Aguilar by submissions a plus 230. I think that's some really, really good odds, honestly. Either way, I think both of those guys win. I don't think Esteban definitely can win, but he's not a crazy grappler. He's not some, Damon Jackson grappler. He's not what he is. He does have 5 wins by submission, but a lot of those are set up by his hands. And I just think defensively, Camelia Kirk is too good defensively, standing on the feet, to really get caught or hurt by anything that Esteban is going to be able to do. And I think he's such a disadvantage. He's going to have to get in the inside. And Kirk is decent at defending takedowns. It's when the chain wrestling and all those things come into place. So I have Camelia Kirk winning this fight. And then next is Shannon Ross versus Jesus Aguilar. And again, Aguilar's 8-2, just lost to Tetsuya Taira, and he was submitted in that one. Did show some pretty good stuff early in that fight, some good takedown defense. I think it was a short notice fight as well. Shannon Ross has not looked good in the Contender Series, finished in both of them, and finished by Gleidson Rodriguez in his last one, 59 seconds in the first round. Just didn't look very good. Chinny, kind of. And again, I know Jesus Aguilar doesn't have a lot of finishes with his hands, but his hands set up a lot of good with his submissions, and he has 6 out of his 8 wins are by submission. And again, either way, Jesus Aguilar by points is a really, really good bet. Jesus Aguilar by points is plus 300. So that's even better of odds. If you want to take out the submission, you add the 300. That's plus 1900 on the odds. You put $5, you win $95. So, do some flipping around right there or whatever, however you want to do it. Some really, really good ones. Personally, I think it'd be by submission. I don't see Shannon Ross lasting 3 rounds with a dangerous kind of submission artist with 6 out of his 8 wins by submission. Think you can kind of call him that, even though he hasn't fought great competition. He was submitted in his last one, but still, against a guy like Ross, I really like a submission on that one. So I think Jesus Aguilar wins his fight against Shannon Ross by submission, probably mid first round. Camelia Kirk, I think he wins a decision. Cameron Saman versus Terrence Mitchell, Terrence Mitchell was the guy that Kai Kara-France knocked out on The Ultimate Fighter. I think he was the first overall pick in that season of The Ultimate Fighter. I don't remember the coaches, but he was the first overall pick, I believe, and he was knocked out really, really badly. He is 15-2, which is kind of crazy, but he's also, I think, 33 years old. He'll be 34 in December. Cameron Saman, I like Cameron Saman in this one. I think he's good. The one thing that is a little bit weird, I think Terrence Mitchell is going to have a little bit of a reach on Cameron Saman. I just think Cameron Saman's really good on the inside. He's good at mixing elbows, and mixing his combinations, even if he has to get in close. We've seen him do some pretty good work against Mana Martinez, who's a longer type of fighter. He's not necessarily long, but he fights long. We've seen Steven Kozlov have some good success grappling with him. I don't see Terrence Mitchell. He has 8 wins by submission, 6 by TKO or KO. So that's, 14 wins out of his 15 wins by finish. The issue I have with that is I just think at 33 years old, fighting a guy who's just, I think, a little bit better than him, I think he loses. And some odds here, he's a minus 600 favorite, so you don't really just want to do money line or straight money line. Cameron Saman by KO or TKO is not great, as you could think, but submission, I don't really see him by submission. I actually see him by points or finish, but again, I think it's points. And you could do how the fight will end. No. Okay, so like this method and round combo, you could do Cameron Saman KO TKO round number 2 is a plus 650. Cameron Saman KO TKO round 3 is a plus 1600. Those are some really, really good ones. I mean, Cameron Saman submission round 3 45 plus 4500. There's some really, really good bets on here. Personally, if it was me, I would probably bet more on a submission with him, just because of how Mitchell's going to fight him and how Cameron's going to fight him. I just think Cameron's going to have to get inside. He's going to have to use some of that grappling. I think he finds a submission. Definitely could be a finish. I wish it could be a TKO or submission line, but there's just not that, Yeah, I think Cameron Saman probably by TKO KO in round number 2 plus 650. So that's a really, really good bet on that one. Either way, I had Cameron Saman winning that fight and staying undefeated. And then you have Victor Petrino versus Marcin Prachnio. I think this is an interesting fight. especially for Bracknell. Bracknell hasn't looked great. Fought William Knight in his last one 3 months ago. Didn't look good, just William Knight didn't fight. Before that, he lost to Felipe Lins. Went to decision, and Felipe looked pretty damn good. And then before that, he got some big wins against Ike Villanova, who's not good, and Khalil Roundtree. He won that one after Khalil just stopped fighting because he had him badly hurt, really badly hurt in that, and then just kind of gave up the next 2 rounds. And he's been, he lost to Mike Rodriguez. It was nasty elbow, and he lost to Sam Alvey as he was coming in. I don't see Bracknell winning this fight at all. Yeah. And next one, like I said, is Victor Petrino versus Marcin Bracknell. Method of victory, the money line is not great. Bracknell is only a plus 194, which is decent. But again, I don't see him winning that. I really like, Victor Petrino by submission is a hard one because Victor Petrino has 6 wins by TKO or KO and 2 decisions. He hasn't submitted anybody, but that's not out of the question. It's just not. Victor Petrino by points, I don't see him winning by points. I don't see Marcin Bracknell being able to withstand the power, especially in that first round. I do think he's going to grapple a little bit more in this fight. So Victor Petrino by submission at plus 1100 is just a little bit too good to pass up, in my opinion. And betting him on KO or TKO just really isn't great. Now, you could do method round combo. You could do Victor Petrino KO TKO, or round number 2 is a plus 650, or round number 3 is 1500. I don't see it getting around 3. The longest it goes is round number 2, and I see him winning by TKO or KO. So plus 650 is awesome, just awesome. But that is my pick on that one. Victor Petrino round number 2, TKO or KO by finish. Either way, it will be a finish. Next is Edgar Chairez versus Tatsuro Taira. This is a tough fight for Taira. On short notice, was supposed to fight last week, but Gleison Rodriguez, or 2 weeks ago, something like that. Yeah, I think last week. But Gleison Rodriguez missed weight, as he has a couple times now. And Chairez is a plus 600, which I don't really think is fair. Just looking on it on paper, not really understanding. But if you take a deeper dive in Edgar Chairez's record, Pitbull is his nickname. If you look at his finishes, he has 6 wins by submission and 4 by TKO or KO. I don't think he does that to Taira, but he is very, very good grappler as well. But he has also been submitted. He lost the Contender Series fight against Clayton Carpenter. I believe a lot of that was grappling, or at least mixing striking to grappling with that one. And again, he does have some arm bars, some guillotine, so he's good with that. Taira is going to have to watch out for his neck, how he's kind of gets anxious sometimes. I don't see him getting caught, nothing like that. But if you look over at the odds, again, he's a plus 600 underdog. And, method of victory, I really like Tatsuro Taira by submission, but that's plus 200. It doesn't do a whole lot for you. But Tatsuro Taira by points is a plus 420 underdog. Him by TKO or KO, I don't see that happening. I just don't. And I don't see Taira submitting Taira. I don't see him finishing him. Really winning by points, I don't see that either. The only play here to me is Tatsuro Taira by points plus 420. I guess you could do a minus 200 by submission because that's typically what you're going to think anyways. But if I were you, I would go to the method round combination. Tatsuro Taira submission, round number 3 is 1200. Round number 2 for submission is a plus 440. You could do round 1, but that's plus 130. I like Tatsuro Taira submission in round number 2 plus 440. That's an incredible bet there. That is, for one, something I would really, really look at if I were you guys. And I have him winning anyways, either way, but I do think Chairez is going to make it tough, especially in that first round. But as he gets pushed a little bit, I see Taira coming away with the victory. Next is Jimmy Crute versus Alonzo Metafield, the rematch with one of the craziest fights I can even remember. Honestly, that fight was nuts the last time they fought. Decision, majority. Alonzo Metafield, if his gas tank was a little bit better, he would have dominated that fight because every time he hit Jimmy Crute, he hurt him. It was the grappling ability and the toughness of Crute that got him through that fight to even make it a draw. Alonzo Menifield's gas tank is really what failed him in that one, and that's what I expect to be a little bit different. On paper, you would think Jimmy Crute's speed and footwork would give him an edge, but he just gets caught way too much nowadays. He's not the same fighter as he was when he was undefeated, or even coming off of the one loss against Misha Serkinov. Because when he came back, he looked awesome. I think he had 2 crazy submission against Michelle and another KO by Modestas Bukauskas. I think that's how you say his name. But basically a pick'em fight, you know, and that's not really great on odd-wise on the straight money line. So they actually have Alonzo Menifield as a slight underdog, or small underdog at plus 108, which again is not something you would really bet on the money line. But if you look at the method of victory, Alonzo Menifield by TKO or KO is a plus 190, which again isn't great, but having Alonzo Menifield by points plus 600. Jimmy Crute by submission I don't really like, or Alonzo Menifield by submission I don't really like. It's either going to be a KO because Alonzo gets tired, or it's going to be a KO early for Alonzo Menifield. But I think Alonzo Menifield by points, the plus 600 could be the thing, could be the play. But also Alonzo Menifield KO by TKO, or in round number 1 is a plus 480. Round number 2 for Alonzo Menifield is a plus 700. I think if he gets a finish, it's going to be in that first round. It's a little bit of a risky bet just because Alonzo kind of throws everything. I either think he's going to get it, he's going to throw a lot in gas later, or he's going to be very patient, get a lot of reads, and then explode in the second round and get that finish. So it's all up to you guys. I don't think a third round at all for Alonzo Menifield is the bet here. If anything, bet Jimmy Crute by finish 2,300 or 2,100 by either or TKO or submission, 2,100 or 2,300 in round number 3 if he gets there. If it's the first or second round, like I said, one or two things is going to happen. Menifield's going to go all out in the first, or he's going to go all out in the second and try to get that finish. That's some pretty good odds at plus 480, at plus 700. Now, if you want to do a double chance, you could do Alonzo Menifield by KO, TKO, or submission. Again, not great odds here. I would kind of stay away from the double chance, to be honest. But Jimmy Crute to win by TKO or KO rounds 1 or 2 is a plus 400. Alonzo Menifield to win by TKO or KO in rounds 1 or 2 is a plus 240. That's probably the bet I would take. Or Jimmy Crute, like I said, in the second or third, or first and second, one of those bets plus 400, plus 700. Again, some pretty good bets here. There's a lot to like in this one. So I think personally Alonzo Menifield wins this one. I think Jimmy Crute has the tools to do it, but he's a little bit too hittable. And I think given a rematch to the coaching staff for Menifield, I think they're going to see a lot that stopped him in that last one was his cardio. And I think he's going to come out like a bat out of the hell. And I think his cardio is going to be a whole lot better, I would imagine at least. You know, and then next is Yasmin Jauregui versus Denise Gomez. I know Jauregui had a rough time with Estela Nunes early, but then she destroyed Nunes after she made the read she needed to read. And it's good for a fighter to get caught a couple times, get dropped a couple times, and figure out what they need to change. I do think plus 320 underdog for Denise Gomez is a little crazy, but we've seen her lose against Loma Lookboonmee. And we did see her win against Bruna Brazil, just dominated her, just made her look really, really bad. But if you look over at the odds, I think Yasmin wins this. I think she wins by decision. I don't think she finishes her, to be honest. So method of victory, Yasmin Jauregui by points is a plus 110. I do think looking at Denise Gomez by points at plus 600 is a really, really good bet, just because how Denise Gomez fought in her last couple fights, even the one she lost. You know, she had really, really good moments. And somebody like Yasmin who has good movement, I don't really see her finishing her with punches. Now, with Denise Gomez, interesting enough, she has only been finished by punches. And that was by Girazel Moreira, which was 6 years ago, almost 6 years ago at this point. Her only other loss was the decision to Loma, and I think it's going to be another decision win for Yasmin. I think she wins by points, which is plus 110. Will the fight go to distance? They are planning it to go the distance, which I definitely think it will. I don't see it not. But, Yasmin, yeah, there's not really good plays on points or by finish on that one. By submission, a lot of these are expected. But if you do just straight method of victory, Yasmin and Jericho by points is a plus 110. There might be a little bit of money in there, especially if you do a parlay. That'd probably be the only way you make some money. But I think Yasmin's movement and her footwork, especially if the first round goes rough, I think she's going to make those adjustments and be able to pull out a victory. I don't see her finishing her, just I think defensively she's okay enough to not get finished. And then you go on to the big boy, Jack Della Maddalena versus Josiah Harrell, who Josiah Harrell just went viral over his cage, throwing up, like spearing a guy through a cage, spearing Mike Roberts through the cage in LFA 2 weeks ago. And he did finish him in the third round. Didn't look great in the first couple rounds. It was losing that fight, or at least it was 1-1 going into the third. He's a plus 650 underdog, which I expect him to. I expect Josiah to come out crazy in that first round and try to rush Jack Della. Don't give him a lot of space. Don't let him get comfortable. If he does that, he can make this fight very, very interesting. Not saying he's going to win, but he can make it interesting. But if he stays on the outside and lets Jack get comfortable and make reads, he's in trouble. Whether he goes to decision or not, he is in some big, big trouble, I think, with that one. And if you look over at the odds, which is what we're doing, Jack Della method of victory by finish is plus 270, by submissions a plus 500, which honestly is what I'm feeling right now. Is Jack Della Maddalena by submission. I think he gets tired. I think he gets Josiah tired, probably in the second round, and then is able to hurt him and find the submission. I don't see Josiah Harrell submitting Jack or finishing or beating him by points, unless for some reason Jack can't stop his takedowns. We'll get a lot of answers in that first round. Maybe some live bets will be really good with Josiah. And I don't see this fight going to decision. I think Jack Della Maddalena by points, which by submission is plus 500. This one with the Yasmin parlay might be very, very nice. I really like that one a lot. So Jack Della Maddalena by submission. I think he hurts him on the feet, gets him a little bit tired, especially because it's a short notice fight. And he's only 24 years old. He'll have a 6-inch reach, 4 inches in height as well. I think he gets a submission victory with his hands. I think he hurts them and then finishes them. And then we go into the main event prelim, which is Robbie Lawler versus Nico Price, which is a pretty interesting stylistical matchup, just because Robbie's his only win in over a year, almost 2 years, is Nick Diaz, where Nick hadn't fought in forever, and Nick was outstriking the holy moly out of Robbie Lawler, and he ended up check hooking him and breaking his nose, and Nick didn't want no more of that. Lost to Brian Barberena, which really showed his age in that one because he looked really, really good early. Hurt Brian a lot of times and then just started getting tired, getting caught a little bit more, and they called the fight on that one. 2-inch reach advantage for Nico, 1 inch in height for Nico. Again, Nico Price is a guy that was very promising for a very long time and then just started losing fights. And they actually have Robbie Lawler is an underdog, which kind of makes sense, but Robbie Lawler by finish is a plus 460, and I think that's too good to pass up. I don't think this fight goes past the second round. I don't think it goes to decision. I think we either see a finish. But betting-wise, Nico Price by KO TKO is what people are expecting. I actually like Robbie Lawler early at a finish, which is plus 460, but this is overall just winning. If you go to method in round, Robbie Lawler KO TKO in round number 1 plus 1100. I really like those odds. Unfortunately, I do like Nico Price KO TKO at round number 2, or round number 3 is even better at 1100 or 550. I think early Robbie Lawler could do good, but if you want to probably make some money, wait a little bit on that fight and see how it goes live and make a bet, because I think if Robbie gets tired, Nico Price could have some really, really good success in the second or the third round. But I do think it is a finish on either side. First round for Robbie Lawler, or it's going to be Nico Price second or third round, and I do think he gets a TKO finish. So one of those two is going to be a really, really good bet. Remember, just do like Nico Price. Oh, let's take these last two out. But Nico Price, second round KO is a plus 500. Jack Della Maddalena at a submission. Put him in there and put Yasmin and put her as a on points, which is plus 110. It's a 3-leg parlay at 8 8,090 odds. You put $5 on, and that you win 404.50. That's some really, really good odds and some really good money. You're not missing out on a whole lot. You just want to put $1. Put $1, you win 80 bucks. Not crazy. Good parlays, good things. And I really like those ones. And I think Nico Price wins this fight. I just think Robbie Lawler can't take it that much damage, especially when he gets tired. And then Bo Nickel versus Valentin Woodburn. Valentin trains with Chris Curtis, Sean Strickland. At least he was training with them. There was a lot of pictures and videos of them going around training with them. Jesus. And I do think Bo Nickel can get the job done. He just has to stay consistent. He has to stay technical. The issue, I think, with this one, he's a plus 1,200 is Val. A huge underdog. Just massive underdog. And going to the main card, which I don't think they should be on the main card, Bo Nickel versus him. Again, huge odds for Valentin. And I think early for Valentin, if you want to put a nice bet, for Valentin's a plus 1,800. Valentin by points is 2,400. I don't think it goes by points. I think that would be just crazy. But unfortunately, I think the only bet really to make here is Valentin round number 1, which is plus 3,900. I just think his explosiveness can cause a lot of issues for Bo Nickel, and I like this bet early for Valentin Woodburn. Now, Woodburn, I do think a live bet would be a little bit better, a little bit less risky, but these are some damn good bets, honestly. 3,900 plus 3,900. He does have some pretty good cardio on a full camp, but I think early with a guy like Bo who needs a lot of distance to set up his strikes because he's not a natural striker. He's a very good wrestler, as we all know. But yeah, I think later, Bo Nickel by submission, round number 2, 850 is something I really like. Or round number 3 is 2,000. I like that too as Val gets tired. But early, I really like Valentin Woodburn by TKO or KO, round number 1, 3,900. It's just, that's just too hard to beat. That's really, really good odds, And again, a live bet, if Valentin's getting tired for the second and the third round, it'd be nice to put a little bit of money on the live bets. I'd be very curious to see how Val's cardio shows up a little bit with the wrestling, because he's going to be wrestling with Bo, and it's going to be up to Val to initiate and to make Bo move backwards, because that's the most success that Val's going to have. So I'm very curious on that, but I actually like Valentin Woodburn, especially in that first round. Very curious how he comes out. I hope he comes like a bat out of hell, because he has nothing to lose. And then you go over to Jalen Turner and Dan Hooker. I do think Bo Nickel wins later in the fight. I think he submits him, but I'm very curious to see how Val comes out in that first round. Jalen Turner, like I said, Jalen Turner versus Dan Hooker. Jalen Turner minus 290 favorite. Dan Hooker's a plus 225. I don't see Hooker winning this. I do think the first round will be a little bit close. I don't really know if it goes to points. I don't know if Hooker can take the shots that Turner has, because he has some sneaky power. And I actually like Jalen Turner by submission, which is plus 240. I don't see Hooker winning on points. I don't see him winning by submission or by finish. Probably, Jesus, if I was to say, Jalen Turner round number 2 submissions a plus 1,100. So if you do Jalen Turner on that, and then you go back over to Bo Nickel and Val, and you like Bo Nickel or Valentin Woodburn by let's see, round number 1, which is plus 3,900. Let's take that. So just that alone is 47,000 odds. So really, really good odds. You put $1 down, you can win $479 just on those bets. Valentin Woodburn KO, TKO round 1. Jalen Turner submission in round number 2. Some very, very good bets. I mean, you put $5 down, you can win $2,300. It's not bad at all. Some really, really good bets there. Some really, really good fights. I like that a lot. And I think Jalen Turner wins that fight. I just think it's too much, too late for Hooker. Too much damage. And then you go Robert Whittaker versus Dricus Du Plessis. I think Whittaker wins this. I just think the cardio basis of Du Plessis, I don't give a shit about his nose job. I don't care about him getting a surgery on his nose. That's going to help him so much with his cardio. I don't believe that. I don't think that's true at all. I do see how dangerous Dricus du Plessis is in the pocket and how creative he is. But Robert Whitaker is super smart, super good coaching staff. Method of victory, I think Robert Whitaker by points is plus 220, which isn't terrible. I don't see Robert Whitaker getting a submission. I think the best one is method and round. I think round number 2 for Robert Whitaker against Dricus du Plessis, when he gets awful with his cardio, with his combinations, he gets hit a lot. I really like Robert Whitaker KO, TKO in round number 2. I could see Dricus du Plessis winning on points. Dricus du Plessis by points is 1,100. I could see him winning by points, sneaking out some weird rounds. He is good at creating dogfights and somehow ending up on top. As long as Whitaker doesn't end up making this fight sloppy and he stays technical and he just pieces them up like he typically does with fighters, because he hasn't lost anybody in the last, long time, since he hasn't lost to anybody except for Israel Adesanya. I don't see Dricus du Plessis having I think he has the power in pocket. Again, Robert Whitaker to win in round number 2 to start. There's not really great odds on that. Either fighter to win by KO or TKO in the first 3 minutes of round number 1. I don't see that happening, really. Fighter to win in the 3rd minute of any round. Interesting. Let's look. First 2 minutes to win in the first 2 minutes. No, I don't see that. Whitaker first 30 seconds. That'd be nuts. I don't see that. Let's see. Either fighter, no. Robert Whitaker by points or du Plessis by submission. No. Robert Whitaker by submission or du Plessis by KO or TKO. No. There's some good bets in here, but I personally think method of victory is the best. And I think Robert Whitaker by KO. Actually, you could do alternative method in round combo, which is just picking a KO, TKO in round number 2 on either side. That'd probably be the best bet, to be honest, safest. KO, TKO. I think round number 2 is the golden one here, and that's a 3-set plus 370. I think he gets too tired in that second round. I think the way he fights, his style, he gets too tired, and he's way too hittable. His chin is still in question. So it's either the Robert Whitaker KO TKO round number 2 plus 500, or just a straight finish in round number 2 is a plus 370. I really like those odds. I still think Robert Whitaker wins this fight. I don't think it's going to be really that close, honestly, at all. And then you go next to Moreno and Alexander Pantoja. I think this is a very interesting fight. Moreno was very young the first 2 times they fought. And Pantoja is 33 years old in this one, so I think that is something to look at, to talk about. They have Pantoja as an underdog at plus 156. And although I think it's interesting, I don't think those are the correct odds. Moreno on points at plus 190 doesn't really do a whole lot for me. I think one or two things is going to happen. Pantoja is going to win by submission, or Moreno is going to finish him late or win a decision. Because of the cardio, Pantoja sometimes is questionable. I think early Pantoja is going to come out like a bat of the hell, try to get a couple takedowns, maybe control him for a couple rounds, start to get tired and picked apart by Moreno. So if I were you guys, the best ones for me would be method round combinations. And if you think Pantoja wins round, let's see, the winning round, I don't want the winning round, double chance. Yeah, you could do Pantoja KO or KO or submissions, a plus 310. I think that's some really, really good ones. I thought it would show rounds 1. Okay, KO, TKO, round combination. This is I think, what you guys would want. Alexander Pantoja to win, KO, TKO. I don't want that. Where's the submissions? I guess it's stupid. Yeah, Pantoja right here to win by submission in rounds 1 or 2. Some really good odds there at plus 950. On point wise, I think decision, no bet. Oh, that's not a great one. But I do think Moreno could win a decision or win a late 4th and 5th round for Moreno. Let's see. Oh, Moreno to win by KO, TKO in rounds 3, 4, and 5. That's plus 600. I really like that odd right there. But at the same time, Alexander Pantoja to win 1, 2, or 3. Let's see it. Pantoja to win. Oh, that's 3 and 4. Pantoja right here. And Pantoja to win by submission in rounds 1, 2, or 3, which is his best chances. Plus 650. I like that a lot. You can make a separate bet with Moreno winning in the 4th or 3, 4, or 5 with TKO or KO. I like that as well. Some really, really good bets in here. And I do think Pantoja pulls this win off. I think he does some really, really good work just with some control time. I think that 5th round is going to tell us a lot. And I think the 3rd to the 4th is going to tell us a lot with the cardio of Pantoja. If he starts slowing down, expect to put some money on the live bet on Brandon Moreno. Next is our main event, Alexander Volkanovski versus Yair Rodriguez. Main event of UFC 290, Alexander Volkanovski versus Yair Rodriguez. Volkanovski is a minus 435 favorite with Yair Rodriguez at 325. This one is interesting to bet on because there's a lot of variables that could happen in this fight. I do think Yair Rodriguez catches Volk early and hurts him, and I think Volkanovski makes the adjustments that he needs to make, and he ends up winning the rest of the fight. But it's some really, really good odds here. Let's see, UFC feature fight to be won by KO or TKO via punches. Not great odds there, but Volkanovski to win by TKO or KO via punches in round 1. I don't think he gets them early. I think it's later for sure. A better one would be Yair to win by KO or TKO via punches. Just whenever, I guess that is. Oh, via punches. Oh, I see. I don't want that at all. I don't want that at all. Let's see. No. Okay, right here. I don't think he beats him. I don't think Alexander Volkanovski is going to TKO or KO unless it's on the ground. On the feet, I think he's going to be in a lot of trouble. So, Yair Rodriguez, these are interesting because Yair to win by TKO or KO rounds 2, 3, or 4, some good odds. Personally, if it's going to happen early. It's going to happen in the first couple rounds. Yair to win by KO, TKO in rounds 1, 2, or 3. Plus 850, that's some really, really good odds. I don't see Volkanovski finishing him with his hands. Maybe a submission, but I think he wins a decision. But again, let's see. On points is plus 100, submissions plus 7, finish is plus 105. There's some really, really good bets also in here. Volkanovski to win. I don't think he wins in round 1. Again, I personally think he wins later in the fight as he gets him tired. He could beat him in the 4th or 5th. I wonder what that is for Volkanovski to win. 4 and 5 is 1100 if he finishes them. I don't really think he finishes them, but I do think he wins a decision. But there's some really, really good bets in here as well. I think early there's a chance of Yair catching Volk, kind of sleeping a little bit, lackadaisical. I do think with the movement, he can time one of those kicks to the body, then to the head. I think he could hurt him. And betting Yair to win by KO or TKO in rounds 1, 2, or 3 is very good at plus 850. Even 2 and 3 for Yair, or one round Yair to win by TKO or KO in rounds 1 or 2, I also think is good, and that's 1200. You want to add another round in there just in case, 1, 2, and 3 plus 850. That's an incredible bet. Great bets to do. I do think Volkanovski wins the decision, and there's not really a great, I think under. They're both basically a pick 'em. Under 4.5 is plus 122. Over is 106. I don't think it's great. Oh, here's a good one. Volkanovski to win in rounds 1, 2, or 3 is plus 200. I don't think that's happened. Yair rounds 4, 5, or by decision. I don't like that either, to be honest. Volkanovski rounds 4 and 5 or by decision is a favorite. Yair rounds 1, 2, and 3 is straight plus 600. Now, if you think he wins somehow submission, which only has one against Josh Emmett, I think if he wins in the first 3, it's going to be by a head kick. I think that's what's going to set it all up. what round is the fight going to end. If it's Volkanovski, it ends in the 4th or the 5th. If it's Yair, it's 1 or 2, most likely. Maybe the 3rd, but I think the round's 1 or 2. Most likely round 1 if it ends by Yair, just because of those kicks. But I do think Volkanovski pulls this off. And actually, like I said, I think he wins by points. That's just what I think he does. I think he makes the adjustments that he needs to make. But throwing some money on Yair at a dog at rounds 1, 2, and 3 by punch or by finish, I do like a lot, because it is possible. And again, those are my thoughts. Sorry if it's a little bit longer. Let me know what you guys think about the video if you want me to keep doing it. Subscribe, like, comment, hit that join button if you want to become a member of the YouTube channel. Almost at 1,000. Let's make it happen. Everybody have a good rest of your weekend. I will see you guys on Saturday after the fights. And as always, peace.